The skies shimmered as Zinnia's sleek, obsidian ship descended onto Earth, its pulsating lights casting a hypnotic glow on the gathered crowd. Jack adjusted his tie, his expression oscillating between curiosity and dread. Being assigned as Earth's representative to greet an alien diplomat wasn't in the job description for a middle management bureaucrat who spent most of his days juggling paperwork. The ramp extended with a quiet hiss, and Zinnia emerged, her tall, elegant figure framed by an iridescent cloak that shifted colors with her movements. Her intense, amethyst-colored eyes swept the scene, finally landing on Jack. A smile spread across her face, or at least Jack assumed it was a smile. It looked oddly toothy. "Greetings, Jack of Earth," she intoned, her voice lilting yet mechanical through her translator device. "I am Zinnia of Duotetrix, here to negotiate resource sharing for mutual prosperity." Jack gave a polite nod, extending a hand. Zinnia stared at it for an awkward moment before mimicking the gesture, nearly crushing his fingers. Jack winced but maintained his composure. "Welcome to Earth, Zinnia. We hope your visit will be fruitful." Her translator buzzed for a moment, then spat out. "Ah. Yes. Fruit. A symbol of fertility. Humans are more clever than I anticipated." Jack blinked. Sure. Let's get started." As they walked toward the conference hall, Zinnia's attention was drawn to a nearby basketball court where a group of teenagers was playing an intense game. Her gaze locked onto the ball being dribbled with rapid precision, her eyes widening in fascination. She paused mid-step, her translator sputtering before declaring, "You have perfected the art of sphere manipulation." "Impressive." Jack followed her gaze, confused. "Oh, basketball? It's just a sport. Fun, competitive, you know." Zinnia turned to him, her expression earnest. "You call this casual? On Duotetrix, the sphere is sacred. It is the core of our male's vitality. Yet your kind possesses too." "Fascinating." Jack's mouth opened, then closed. "Wait, are you talking about anatomy? Because if so, I think there's been a misunderstanding." Her translator cut him off. "No misunderstanding. Your males are biologically superior. Duotetrix males possess only one vital sphere. 2 signifies unparalleled resilience. You are truly an advanced species." Jack coughed, his face reddening. "Well, I don't know about a superior. We're just built differently." Zinnia stepped closer, her voice hushed with reverence. "Do all males on Earth possess 2? Jack hesitated, unsure how to extricate himself from the conversation. Yeah. Pretty standard here." Zinnia's eyes sparkled, and she turned back to the court. "I must observe this ritual. Take me to the sphere manipulators." Jack raised his hands in protest. "It's not a ritual. It's just kids playing basketball." But Zinnia was already striding toward the court, her translator declaring, "This knowledge is vital for our negotiations. Lead the way, Jack of Earth." Resigned, Jack followed her, trying not to draw attention to the tall, glowing alien. The players paused as they noticed Zinnia's imposing figure. "Yo, is this for a movie or something?" one of them asked. Zinnia ignored the question, her attention fixed on the basketball in the center of the court. "Fascinating. Such precision. Such focus. May I partake in this ritual?" The players exchanged looks, shrugging. Sure, lady," one said, tossing her the ball. Zinnia caught it effortlessly, her long fingers curling around its surface. She studied it like a priceless artifact before turning to Jack. "This is the object of reverence? Remarkable craftsmanship." "Yeah, it's just rubber," Jack muttered. "Nothing special." Ignoring him, Zinnia mimicked the player's movements, dribbling the ball with surprising accuracy. The players watched in awe as she executed an accidental slam dunk, shattering the backboard in the process. Shards of glass rained down, and the group erupted into cheers and laughter. Jack groaned, rubbing his temples. "Great. Now we're liable for property damage." Zinnia turned to him, beaming. I have mastered the sphere ritual. This knowledge will strengthen our alliance. Jack sighed. Let's just get back to the negotiations before this gets more complicated. As they left the court, Zinnia's voice echoed behind them. Humans are truly extraordinary. 2 spheres and unmatched coordination. Duotetrix will be most pleased. Jack muttered under his breath, this is going to be a long day. The meeting room hummed with an air of formality, a sharp contrast to the earlier chaos at the basketball court. Zinnia sat across from Jack at the negotiation table, her translator emitting faint whirs as it processed human languages. A holographic display of Earth's resources flickered between them, but Zinnia seemed more focused on Jack than the glowing charts. You have been chosen well, Jack of Earth, she said, her tone serious yet admiring. Your biological advantages are evident. Duotetrix values strength in its allies. Jack, unsure whether to feel flattered or objectified, cleared his throat. Thank you, Zinnia. Let's focus on the treaty terms. We're offering renewable energy sources and agricultural techniques. Her gaze sharpened. And in return, we seek access to your genetic innovations. Your dual-sphere anatomy is of great interest. Perhaps a cultural exchange program could facilitate this. Jack froze, his brain scrambling to process her statement. I think there's been a misunderstanding. We don't trade anatomy. Zinnia frowned. Trade? No. Study, perhaps. Your species' resilience is unparalleled. It must be rooted in your dual-sphere physiology. Jack leaned forward, lowering his voice. Just to be clear, when you say of dual spheres, you're talking about the spheres essential to your vitality, Zinnia interrupted, her tone reverent. It is clear they influence your strength and agility. Your males demonstrate this even in casual rituals, such as the sport you call a basketball. Jack pinched the bridge of his nose, trying to suppress a laugh. Zinnia, that's not how it works. Her translator clicked as it struggled to interpret his tone. Are you denying the evidence of your own biology? No, I'm saying, he hesitated, realizing that explaining human anatomy in a diplomatic setting might make things worse. Look, let's table this topic for now and focus on the treaty. Zinnia tilted her head, clearly perplexed. Very well. But know that Duotetrix prioritizes this knowledge. It may shape future negotiations. Jack nodded, grateful to steer the conversation back to safer ground. As the talks progressed, Zinnia occasionally interjected with comments that derailed the discussion. When renewable energy methods were mentioned, she asked if they were powered by harnessing human vitality, sending the room into awkward silence. During a break, Jack escorted Zinnia to a private lounge, hoping to clarify things without further embarrassment. She examined a bowl of fruit on the table, lifting a pair of oranges with an intrigued expression. Your culture's symbolism is consistent. These mimic the form of your spheres. Jack nearly choked on his water. Those are oranges. They're fruit. Not symbolic of anything. Her translator buzzed, and she nodded thoughtfully. Fascinating. Even your food reflects the duality of your anatomy. It's just a coincidence, Jack said, exasperated. Not everything on Earth is a metaphor. She placed the oranges down carefully, as if handling sacred artifacts. Perhaps your species' ingenuity has transcended conscious intention. Remarkable. Jack decided it was time to change the subject. So, tell me more about Duotetrix. What's life like there? Zinnia's expression softened. Our males are delicate, possessing only a single sphere vital to their survival. It makes them precious but vulnerable. Females, like myself, bear the responsibility of protection and leadership. Jack nodded, intrigued despite himself. And this single sphere, it's really that important? It is their core, she replied, her voice tinged with melancholy. Without it, they wither. Your male's dual spheres suggest redundancy, resilience. It's extraordinary. Jack decided not to correct her, realizing the futility. Well, humans are resilient in other ways too. It's not just about anatomy. Zinnia's eyes gleamed with curiosity. Then tell me. What drives your species' strength if not your physiology? Jack thought for a moment before answering. I think it's our adaptability. We face challenges head-on, find creative solutions, and work together. It's not about individual traits, it's about how we connect. Her translator word, and she leaned back, contemplating his words. Connection. A fascinating concept. Perhaps there is more to your duality than I realized. Jack wasn't sure what that meant but decided to take it as progress. As they returned to the negotiation table, Zinnia seemed more focused, though her gaze occasionally drifted to the oranges on the table. He sighed, bracing himself for whatever misunderstanding might come next. The treaty discussions resumed, but Zinnia's attention kept wandering, her fascination with human resilience undiminished. Jack could feel her gaze shift toward him every time the conversation touched on biological or cultural aspects. He tried to maintain focus, steering the dialogue toward mutually beneficial resource exchanges, but Zinnia's persistent questions made that nearly impossible. Your strength must be the result of centuries of evolution, she said suddenly, cutting off the financial projections being presented. Tell me, Jack of Earth, is it true your kind engages in competitive rituals to determine dominance? Jack blinked. If you mean sports, then, yes, I guess so. Her translator buzzed as she absorbed his response. This explains much. Rituals like the sphere manipulation game you call a basketball are essential for honing your species' remarkable duality. Jack sighed. It's not that deep, Zinnia. We just play for fun. Fun, she repeated, her tone skeptical. You trivialize something so significant? On duotetrics, rituals involving the sphere are sacred and only performed to ensure survival or leadership selection. Well, here, we do things differently, Jack replied, trying to keep his tone diplomatic. Not everything has to be about survival. Zinnia leaned forward, her curiosity sharpening. Fascinating. Yet your casual approach has yielded unparalleled results. Your males possess dual spheres, engage in competitive rituals for leisure, and still thrive. It defies logic. Jack glanced at the other diplomats, who looked equally bewildered. He rubbed his temples, feeling a headache coming on. Maybe we can focus on the energy-sharing proposals? But Zinnia wasn't done. If I may, Jack, your people's ability to sustain this duality must stem from cultural practices. I must observe more of these rituals to fully understand your resilience. Jack's patience was wearing thin. Zinnia, it's really not a ritual. It's just a game. People play because it's fun and good exercise. Her translator clicked, processing his words. Exercise? A form of physical maintenance. Does this ensure the longevity of your dual spheres? Jack coughed, nearly choking on his water. No, that's not. Look, can we drop this for now? Zinnia tilted her head, clearly puzzled by his frustration. I sense discomfort. Have I offended you, Jack of Earth? No, it's just, he hesitated, unsure how to explain the awkwardness of her fixation. It's a personal topic. Humans don't usually talk about these things in formal settings. Her expression softened. I see. On duotetrics, such topics are central to diplomacy. Perhaps this is another example of your species' remarkable adaptability. Jack managed a weak smile. Yeah, let's go with that. The meeting continued, though Zinnia's questions persisted in less direct ways. When the topic shifted to renewable energy, she asked if human power sources were inspired by internal biological efficiency. Jack was grateful when another diplomat tactfully redirected the conversation. During a recess, Zinnia approached Jack privately, her tone unusually serious. I sense your discomfort, Jack. I wish to understand. Why do you shy away from discussing your duality? It is a remarkable trait, one that deserves celebration. Jack struggled to find the right words. It's not that I'm uncomfortable. It's just, humans don't usually talk about anatomy like this. Especially not in public. Her translator clicked, translating her thoughtful silence. Your culture values privacy. Another unique trait. I will respect this custom. Jack nodded, relieved. Thank you. I appreciate that. Zinnia's expression brightened. Then perhaps I may focus on another aspect of your culture, this adaptability you mentioned. It intrigues me. Jack chuckled, glad for the change in topic. Adaptability is one of our strengths.
Yeah.
Humans find ways to survive and thrive in all kinds of environments. It's not always easy, but we make it work. Her gaze softened, and for a moment, the usual intensity in her eyes was replaced with something closer to admiration. You speak with great pride, Jack of Earth. Perhaps your resilience is more than physical. It is a reflection of your spirit. Jack wasn't sure how to respond to that. Thanks. I guess that's one way to put it. The recess ended, and the diplomats returned to the table. This time, Zinnia seemed more focused, contributing thoughtful insights to the discussions. Jack allowed himself a small sigh of relief, hoping the rest of the day would proceed without incident. But as the session wrapped up, Zinnia leaned toward him and said quietly, "Your duality remains a mystery, Jack. I look forward to unraveling it further." Jack groaned internally, realizing the day was far from over. The final day of discussions arrived, and Jack was determined to keep things on track. He'd prepped extensively, ensuring every topic of conversation was clear and devoid of potential misunderstandings. Yet, as Zinnia took her seat, her keen gaze fixed on him, he knew it wouldn't be that simple. "Jack of Earth," she began, her tone as formal as ever. "Before we proceed, I must address an unresolved matter." Jack straightened in his chair, already bracing himself. "What's on your mind, Zinnia?" She leaned forward, her translator humming softly. "Your adaptability and resilience have impressed me greatly. However, I still seek clarity on how your species achieves balance with dual spheres. It is a concept duotetrics cannot ignore." He sighed, trying to maintain his professionalism. "Zinnia, I've told you, our anatomy isn't the key to our strength. It's how we work together, how we innovate." Her translator buzzed, processing his words. "Innovation. Yes, you've mentioned this. But surely, the foundation of such ingenuity lies in your biological design." Jack paused, realizing she wasn't going to drop the topic. "Look, Zinnia, humans don't think about it the way you do. Our anatomy isn't something we consider a defining trait. It's just there." She tilted her head, her expression thoughtful. "Fascinating. On duotetrics, every aspect of biology informs our societal roles. For males, their singular sphere dictates their purpose and contributions. Yet your kind seems to transcend such limitations." "That's kind of the point," Jack said, his tone softening. "Humans don't let biology define us. We learn, adapt, and grow beyond what we're born with." Her gaze lingered on him for a moment, and she nodded slowly. "A remarkable perspective. Perhaps it is this mindset, more than your anatomy, that makes your species so unique." Jack relaxed slightly, hoping the conversation was finally over. But Zinnia wasn't done. "Still, your cultural practices intrigue me. I have observed humans engaging in what you call sports. These rituals seem to reflect your resilience and creativity." Jack smirked. "Sports are just games, Zinnia. They're a way to connect, compete, and have fun. They're not as deep as you think." She raised an eyebrow. "Yet they require strategy, cooperation, and physical skill. Are these not traits that define human success?" "Sure," he admitted. "But they're also just a way to blow off steam. Not everything has to be symbolic." Her translator clicked, rendering her thoughtful silence. "Perhaps. But they reveal much about your people's values. I would like to participate in one before I return to duotetrics." Jack blinked. "You want to play a sport?" "Yes," she said firmly. I wish to experience this aspect of your culture firsthand. He hesitated, then nodded. All right. We can arrange something simple. How about a game of catch? It's straightforward and doesn't require much coordination. She tilted her head. Catch. A game of exchanging spheres. Fascinating. Later that day, Jack found himself standing in a park, holding a baseball. Zinnia stood across from him, her iridescent cloak shimmering in the sunlight. She studied the ball intently as he explained the rules. You just throw the ball to me, and I'll catch it. Then I'll throw it back. Her translator clicked as she processed his instructions. A ritual of trust and coordination. I understand. He tossed the ball gently, and she caught it effortlessly. Her grip was a little too firm, and the ball let out a faint squeak under the pressure. She examined it before throwing it back with surprising precision. Not bad, Jack said, catching the ball. You've got a good arm. Her translator interpreted his comment, and she nodded with satisfaction. Your trust in my abilities is appreciated. As the game continued, Zinnia's movements became more fluid, her confidence growing. She even began to smile, a rare and disarming expression. Jack found himself enjoying the simplicity of the moment, the oddness of their dynamic momentarily fading. After a while, Zinnia spoke again. Jack, I believe I understand now. Understand what? The duality of your species. It is not merely physical but symbolic. The act of exchanging spheres mirrors your adaptability and connection. It is a reflection of your essence. Jack stared at her, unsure whether to laugh or take her seriously. Zinnia, it's just a game. Perhaps to you, she replied. But to an outsider, it speaks volumes. You value collaboration, trust, and ingenuity. These traits define your strength far more than your biology. He smiled, appreciating her insight. Maybe you're right. As the sun began to set, Zinnia extended her hand, her expression earnest. Thank you, Jack of Earth. This experience has been enlightening. Duotetrix will benefit greatly from what I've learned here. Jack shook her hand, relieved to see her focus shift away from anatomy and towards something more meaningful. I'm glad we could find common ground. Her translator clicked, and she nodded. Indeed. Though I still believe your dual spheres warrant further study. Jack chuckled, shaking his head. One step at a time, Zinnia. One step at a time.